Number 1. The customary system. A common understanding of lengths and measurements is necessary for these workers to effectively communicate. Could you imagine the problems they would have if they used the length of an arm or the distance of a step to measure the specifications needed to complete this job? To help you communicate accurately when measuring distances, common systems of measurement have been established.
In the United States, there are two most commonly used systems, the customary system and the metric system. First, let's explore the customary system by examining the most commonly used ruler, the fractional inch ruler. This is the basic measuring device or ruler used in the customary system. The parts of the ruler consist of the 0 mark, the numbered inch, and the fractional inch marks. This ruler is made up of 12 inches, which equals 1 foot. Remember, 1 foot equals 12 inches.
Looking closely, you can see that 1 inch is a relatively small distance, about the width of a quarter. Just as 1 foot is broken down into 12 equal parts called inches, an inch can be broken down into equal parts called fractions. Looking closely at this inch, you can see that it is divided into 16 equal parts, or fractions called sixteenths.
To help define fractions, let's use this piece of paper to represent 1 inch. First, mark the left edge of the paper as the 0 mark, and the right side as the 1 inch mark. The distance between these 2 points is much greater than 1 inch, but this representation will help you recognize and understand the subdivisions in an actual inch. Now fold the paper in half. When you open it, draw a line in the fold to represent the 1/2 inch mark. 1/2, like all fractions, consists of a numerator, a division line, and a denominator. The numerator is the number above the line. The denominator is below the line. An easy way to remember which number is below the division line is the D in denominator means down or below the line.
The numerator 1 indicates the number of parts taken out of the whole quantity. The denominator 2 indicates the number of equal parts into which the whole quantity, or in this case the inch, has been divided. Also, notice the 2 small marks at the upper right corner of the number. This symbol indicates that the answer is expressed in inches.
Stop the program and complete activity number 1. When finished, continue watching the program.
Let's use this ruler to practice making readings. Notice that the 1/2 inch mark is longer than the other fractional inch marks. How long does this strip measure? 1/2 inch is correct. If the distance is longer than 1 inch, simply read the closest inch mark to the left, and then read the fractional mark. This strip measures 2 1/2 inches.
When measuring, always be sure to align the 0 mark with the beginning or edge of the object being measured. The 0 mark is either a mark near the edge, or in this case, the unlabeled edge of the ruler. If your measurement is obviously longer than a 12-inch ruler, it's easier and more accurate to use a different measuring device. Let's go back to the piece of paper that represents 1 inch. Now, let's divide it into quarters. To do this, fold it in half again. When you open it, you can see that it's now divided into 4 equal parts. Starting from the left, label the first fold 1/4, followed by 2/4 and 3/4.
A fraction should always be expressed in its simplest form. In this example, 2/4 can be reduced by dividing both the numerator and denominator by 2. Therefore, 2/4 is equal to 1/2. On this ruler, notice the location and length of the 1/4 and 3/4 inch marks. They are shorter than the 1/2 inch marks. These different lengths are designed to help you make quick and accurate readings. This strip measures 1/4 inch. Now, this strip measures 3/4 of an inch. How long is this line? Be careful. Remember to reduce the fraction to its simplest form. 1/2 inch is correct.
Let's return to the paper inch and divide it into eighths. Simply fold the paper in half again. Now open it and mark each eighth of an inch. An easy way to remember if you must reduce a fraction is to look at both the numerator and the denominator. If both are even numbers, they must be reduced. Therefore, the 2/8, 4/8, and 6/8 marks are still expressed as 1/4, 1/2, and 3/4. Looking at this ruler again, notice that the 1/8 inch marks are shorter than the 1/4 inch markings. How long is this strip? That's right, 1/8 is correct. How long is this strip? 3/8 of an inch is correct. This strip measures 5/8 inches. How long is this strip? 3 7/8 is correct.
Stop the program and complete activity number 2. When finished, continue watching the program.
Returning to the piece of paper that represents 1 inch, fold it halfway between each of the 1/8 inch marks. It is now divided into 16 equal parts called sixteenths. Mark the appropriate 16th inch marks. This is how your paper inch should now appear. On this ruler, notice that the 16th inch marks are slightly shorter than the 1/8 inch marks and are the shortest marks. Some rulers may only be divided into eighths. Others are divided even more accurately into 32nds and 64ths. To find out how your ruler is divided, simply count the number of spaces in an inch.
Let's practice reading a few measurements. How long is this strip? 5 3/8 is correct. How long is this strip? Be careful, the edge isn't properly lined up. Okay, now measure it. 1 3/16 is correct. This line measures 3 3/4. You can find the answer by counting 12 lines to the right of the 3-inch mark and reducing 3 12/16 inches to 3 3/4. Remember that fractions are always reduced to simplest form. You would not call this strip 1 2/16. Reduce it. 1 1/8 is correct. This strip measures 2 1/4. Because the numerator is a 1, you know it's already reduced to simplest form. How long is this strip? If your measurement is accurate only to the nearest fourth of an inch, the line is 1 3/4. However, measurements are accurate only if the object ends right above the mark you read. If what you're measuring doesn't end exactly on a mark, you read the closest mark. The same strip, then, when read to the closest 16th mark, is read as 1 13/16 inches.
When writing your answers, there are 3 ways to check for errors. First, check to be sure you have recorded your entire answer. When a measurement is greater than an inch long, some people forget to write down the number of whole inches because they're concentrating on reading the fraction. This line is 2 9/16 inches long, not just 9/16. A second way to check your answer is to be sure that any fraction in your answer is in its simplest form. When the top number of the fraction, the numerator, is an odd number, such as 3/4, 5/8, or 7/16, your answer is already in simplest form. Thirdly, check to make sure that the bottom number of the fraction, the denominator, is an even number. For example, 1/2, 3/4, 5/8, or 13/16. Let's practice reading a few more measurements. How long is this strip? 2 3/8 is correct. Notice that the 2 is included in the answer. The numerator is an odd number, and the denominator is an 8. This example is in simplest form.
This strip measures 2 5/16 is correct. And finally, how long is this line? 1 1/4 inches is correct.
Stop the program and complete activity number 3. When finished, continue watching the program.
In this program, you've learned that the parts of the fractional inch ruler are the 0 mark, the inch marks, and the fractional inch marks. Before using a ruler, make sure you know how it is divided. The fractional inch marks are read by using their length and position. Remember, if your ruler is divided into 16ths, they are the shortest marks on the ruler.
Finally, remember to write all answers in simplest form. In the next program, the metric system will be introduced and metric rulers will be explained.